What up lads, it's your boy Licensed Engineer here, back at it with another legit food review. Weiss Schwarz, greatest card game ever made. You guys know that, there's really no argument to be had there in any other card game. Maybe the Bionicle game. Probably one of my favorite game mechanics of all time is the Weiss Schwarz Climax combo, or CX combo for you gringos out there. At least to my understanding, the lore of Weiss Schwarz is that all of your favorite cartoon characters, comic book characters, video game characters, they're all coming together to put on a show that for some reason involves fighting each other, right? And by show, I probably mean like a literal stage play. You know, that's why Weiss Schwarz uses a lot of terminology like backstage, center stage, encore, waiting room. But at least for me, I've always interpreted the word climax to mean the climax of a story. You know, bring it back to English Literature 101. And although I can't really like prove it, I've always interpreted the climax combo to be the characters in your stage reenacting those climactic moments in their said story. You know, you got Buzz Lightyear falling with style. You've got Anya getting accepted to her school. You've got Morbius saying it's Morbin time, right? Like those climactic moments in their animes and cartoons are what make up those CX combos. As all seasoned Weiss Schwarz players know, the climax combo is usually what you build your decks around. A level 0 or 1 climax combo typically does things like salvage cards from the graveyard, lets you search cards, or basically give you some kind of card advantage to set you up for future plays in the game. Whereas a level 3 CX combo, sometimes referred to as finishers, usually damage your opponent or disrupt your opponent in some way that allows you to win the game. Or at the very least, lets you set yourself up in a position to where you can win the game pretty easily. But climax combos can have a variety of different effects, some of which are goofier than others, lads. That's right, you're gonna be counting down the top 5 goofiest Weiss Schwarz climax combos in no particular order. If you've seen my last goofy card video, you know what I mean by a goofy card effect. Usually they're just effects that I think are very unique. No, I'm not an expert on Weiss Schwarz. I don't claim to have seen every single piece of cardboard that Bushiroad has produced. So let me know in the comments below, what are some of your favorite CX combos that you think are extra goofy, unique, or really cool? Before we get into the list itself, I want to talk about some honorable mentions that I was going to put into the list, but I found others that were a little bit more goofier to put in. One card I would really like to point out is Happily Ever After Cinderella.
Let's bibbidi-bobbidi do this!
This CX combo isn't too unique, but I think just thematically, it's just a beautiful setup card. It really just illustrates what I love about CX combos in Weiss Schwarz. They just add so much flavor and they're fun to use and actually help you win the game. So for Happily Ever After Cinderella, the cost is to place this card in the waiting room. When a magic spell is placed in your climax area, if you have 5 or less cards in your hand, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose up to 1 Dream Ball Cinderella from your hand, place it in the slot this card was in, and at the end of your turn, return that Dream Ball Cinderella to your hand. I just think that's gorgeous. Cinderella transforms into her ball gown just like she does in the anime, and just like in the anime, at the stroke of midnight, she loses it all. This obviously being represented by the end of your turn, you have to return Cinderella back to where she was. But thematically, it is so perfect. Another honorable mention comes from one of my favorite animes, Star Wars. This CX combo is the Dark Side, features my boy Kylo Ren, the most emo Sith. Now this combo itself isn't really that unique in its effect. It's just counter CX combo. Deal X damage to your opponent, choose one of your red characters, give it 2 racks until the end of the turn. X is equal to the number of Star Killer cards in your waiting room, Star Killer being the CX card. What's crazy for me about this card is if you look closely, you'll realize this card is not a monster card, or a character card rather. That's the Yu-Gi-Oh player in me trying to come out. But this is not a character card. This is actually an event card, specifically a counter card. And it wasn't until I stumbled upon that card that I realized that event cards can also technically have CX combos. And I guess a CX combo technically refers to any card ability that specifically refers to a specific card in its text. In this case, the card being Star Killer. No, not the amazing protagonist of the Star Wars Force Unleashed, This is obviously the ripoff Death Star. One last honorable mention goes to the Milky Holmes Fun Fan Party Pack. I had no idea this set existed until some Giga Chad commented about it in my comment section of my last Goofy video. Shout out to you, lad. This whole entire Milky Holmes set is actually pretty goofy in and of itself. Someone could do a whole video on all these goofy card effects. There's goofy card effects, and then there's some that are just nonsensical. For example, we got the CX combo for Nero Big Eater. CX combo, eat a snack that was next to your stock. That is the cost, mind you. When this attacks, if snack time is in your CX zone, you may pay cost. If so, put as many number of snacks from your pockets next to your stock. And yes, this isn't flavor text. It's literally telling you to put some snacks on your playmat. And at least for me, these like really strange card effects don't really do much for me, if I'm being honest. Like, yeah, they're really strange and unique, I'll give it that. But since there's no real like game mechanics behind it, it doesn't really seem all that cool to me. I think a lot of these effects just kind of remind me of that MetaZoo card game that had a lot of different weird effects like that. Those things never really appealed to me, but I wanted to mention that this pack existed so I don't get called out for it again.
Just give me a sign, meet me in the middle, meet me.
Number 5, Perfect Maid Tohro, Dragon Maid. Whenever I hear the words Dragon Maid, I think of the Yu-Gi-Oh archetype. I don't think of the actual cartoon. Let's focus on only the CX combo. When this attacks, if words she wants to convey is in your climax area and you have another human or dragon lad, choose one of the following effects and perform it. Deal 1 damage to your opponent, pretty standard, nothing crazy. And the other one, cost 2 stock, put 1 human or dragon lad from your hand into your waiting room. You may pay the cost. If you do, declare any number and deal X damage to your opponent. X equals to the number you declared. And in parentheses, it says you can't declare a negative number. So you can't heal your opponent, not that you'd want to. I think it's funny that it specifies that. And I think that's hilarious. This really reminds me a lot of the Miyuki card I talked about in my last video. Because potentially, you could declare like a crazy number like 20. And if it all hits, it all hits. And I think that would be a really funny way to win. Maybe 20 would be too crazy, but 10, I don't know, maybe 10, if you get really unlucky, you could kind of hit all of that. Now this effect was really funny to me. I thought it was pretty unique until I realized another card from a different set also had a pretty similar effect. I believe it's from that horse cartoon. No, not that horse cartoon. Talking about Ume Musume. Probably butchered that name, I'm sorry. And speaking of that cartoon,
And they're all in orbit here, standing with the pyramid tip above.
number 4, Agnes Tachyon, Beyond Possibilities, Uma Musume. I really love the artwork on this card. It looks freaking insane. I've never seen this cartoon, but I imagine this character is probably pretty crazy, and I kind of want to watch the cartoon just to see how this character acts. And I think this effect is really insane. Auto CX combo, the cost is pay 1 stock. When this attacks, if going with instinct is in your CX zone, you may pay cost. If so, choose one of the following 2 effects and perform it. If you are level 3 and your opponent is level 2 with 4 more cards in their clock, discard 2 cards from your hand to the waiting room. If you discard 2 cards this way, your opponent chooses 1 card in their clock, puts it in their level zone, and put the rest of their clock in the waiting room. And then the second option is just deal 2 damage. That is just an insane climax combo to me. I've never seen an effect that essentially forces your opponent to actually level up beyond their will. And I know the basic premise of Uma Musume. I know they're like racing horses and they're racing all the time. I think thematically this probably works pretty well. It's like you're really pushing in a race, trying to get up in front of your opponent or at least next to their level. Or maybe I guess thematically it makes more sense if you're actually pulling your opponent back. Because that's basically what you're doing. You're forcing your opponent to be at the same level you are. And I think that's really funny.
So just say you want all, and we can stop all this pain now.
Number 3, Aang, Master of All Elements from James Cameron's Avatar. Very awesome director. James Cameron's done a lot of great content. Really love James Cameron, especially that time he went down to the sea. I've never seen Avatar. I know, take a shot every time I say I haven't seen something. But I think this effect is very, very unique to me. Auto CX combo. The cost is pay 1 stock, put 1 card from your hand into the waiting room. When this card attacks, if energy bending is in your climax area and all of your characters are World of Avatar, You may pay the cost. If you do, put the top 4 cards of your deck into your waiting room. If the total number of colors revealed among us is 2 or more, choose up to 2 cards in your opponent's waiting room, return them to their deck, and your opponent shuffles their deck. If there are 3 or more colors, deal 3 damage to your opponent. If there are 4 or more colors, put the top card of your opponent's deck into their clock. But thematically, it's so cool. Aang, at least what I know about him, is supposed to be the master of all elements, right? So they're not really elements in Weiss Schwarz, but there are colors. And so it's really cool to me that this card effect implements the different colors of Weiss Schwarz. I don't think there's a lot of card effects that do that in this particular way. Came in here alone, came in here alone. Number 2, Star of Hope, Tohro and S.P. from JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. I'm guessing a lot of you Weiss heads already know about this card effect. It was pretty popular set when it came out, but it's super goofy, so we have to cover it in the video. It says, at the beginning of your attack phase, if Destiny of the Joestar family is in your Climax area, and you do not have another character on your center stage, this card gets 11,000 power and the following ability until the end of the turn. Auto. Cost. Put 2 Star of Hope Joestar and S.P. from your hand into your waiting room, and put 4 cards from your hand into the waiting room, so quite a hefty cost to pay there. But at the end of this card's attack, you may pay the cost. If you do, deal 1 damage to your opponent 7 times and deal 7 damage to your opponent. Damage can be cancelled. That is a huge cost to pay to do a ton of damage. Honestly, I can't help but wonder why the number 7 pops up a lot in this card effect. Like, I feel like there has to be some kind of lore reason behind it. My buddy Sad Boy is a huge fan of JoJo's, and he has seen all of it. He's read all the comic books. It's probably his favorite cartoon. And so I asked him, I DM'd him, is there any like lore reason why the number 7 pops up so much? He basically responded to me that there is no lore reason behind the number 7 popping up. As far as he knows, the number 7 doesn't carry too much significance in the JoJo cinematic universe. But apparently Mista from JoJo's Golden Wind says the number 4 is very unlucky, and always talks about it being a very unlucky number. So you have an in-universe explanation for the cost 4, right? But then again, the number 4 is kind of just seen as a generally unlucky number across Asian countries.
So unlucky.
In the same way the number 13 is considered unlucky here in the States. So maybe that's a bit of a reach. Still, as for the effect itself, it seems like a lot of hoopla and a very expensive card, especially since this card has to be by himself on the center stage. You're essentially getting rid of your entire hand to pull this card off, so you better win the game if you can do this. Which, if at this stage in the game, at level 3, if you have this amount of resources to burn on something like that, you're probably already in a pretty good position to win the game anyway. I love how it's deal 1 damage 7 times, so even if one of those get canceled, you always got 1 more and more and more to try and hit. But that final 7 damage on top will probably get canceled harder than Shane Dawson. Number 1, our everything Baji from Tokyo Revengers. I know I said these cards are not in any particular order, but I do think this one is especially nutty for a card effect, especially a CX combo. Let's check it out, lads. CX combo, auto CX combo. The cost is a small loan of 8 stock. Put 3 cards from your hand into your waiting room and put 4 other characters from your stage face up in any order underneath this card as markers, and put 1 we'll entrust our everything to you from your Climax area into your waiting room. All that I just said was just the cost. Let's get into the actual effect there. At the end of this card's attack, you may pay that small cost. If you do, choose 1 Kids Meal Mikey in your waiting room. Put it on the stage position that this card was on, and put this card and all markers underneath this card face up underneath that Kids Meal Mikey in any order as markers. Very insane. So you're doing all of that to put 5 cards underneath this Happy Meal Mikey boy and make a giant stack of cards on your playmat. So imagine just like a stack of 6 cards is about this thick on top of your board. I think that's hilarious. I think most Weiss Schwarz players, we tend to like use art sleeves and double sleeve and sometimes even triple sleeves our cards. So it'd be funny to me to have like a stack of 6 cards, bam, just almost like a mini deck on your playmat on the field in center stage. I think that's really funny. But let's see why Happy Meal Mikey even needs that many markers to begin with, right? Auto. The cost is put all markers underneath this card at the bottom of your deck in any order. When this card attacks, you may pay the cost. If you do, deal 1 damage X times to your opponent. X is equal to the number of markers put at the bottom of your deck for the cost of this ability. Damage may be canceled. So all of that hoopla to do a whopping 5 damage to your opponent. Now each damage is separate, so if one gets canceled, you can still get the other ones. That's really cool. This reminds me a lot of that JoJo effect, but the way we get to that CX combo, the way we get to that damage is pretty funny. I wonder if there is like a lore reason behind why everybody gets behind this kids meal. Are they all trying to buy a kids meal and they pull together their money? Is that what's happening here? I have no idea. I would love to know the lore reason why this is happening, but I think it's a beautiful card effect. I think it's so hilarious. What a treat for Tokyo Revengers main. I doubt this effect is considered meta or good. It might be. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. But to me, this has that JoJo effect status where I feel like if you're in a position to do all of this hoopla and waste all of those resources to get this combo off, you've probably already won the game. Guys, thank you so much for checking out the content. If I got any information wrong about this video, feel free to bully me about it in the comments section below. Leave a fat dislike on your way out. No, I haven't seen every single CX combo in Weiss Schwarz, so if I missed anything cool, if there's any CX combo out there that you think is really funny, interesting, unique, or just plain nutty, feel free to comment below, let me know about it. I love learning about new things of this card game that we all love. Thank you guys so much for checking out the content.